Okay, all right. Welcome, everyone. Uh, I'm Iklok Sidhu. I'm the Chief Scientist for and Faculty Director for the Satarja Center for Entrepreneurship and Technology here at UC Berkeley. And I'm excited to welcome you to this roundtable, this Innovation X roundtable. This one is on Chinese retail economy and, and the influence of social media. And let me just tell you a few words about the center. And of course, we are co-hosting with CKGSB, the graduate school. And so I'll tell you a little bit about the Berkeley side, and we'll hand it over to Mary Darby on the CKGSB side, and then we're going to go ahead and get started. So about the center here at Berkeley, our mission at Satarja Center is to empower innovators to positively change the world. We do this by educating students to use Berkeley method of entrepreneurship, which allows them to develop professional skills and to develop the entrepreneurial mindsets and behaviors that they need to be successful. We also have programs and certificate programs for professionals, which help them develop leadership and innovation skills and technology skills. One of the biggest examples, or maybe best examples of that, is our Engineering Leadership Professional Program, which has been running for approximately 10 years now. That program has students from Google, Yahoo, Network Appliances, Samsung, Cisco, all kinds of top innovating companies from around the world. And additionally, we bring together students and industry in our innovation labs. And we have these labs in data, blockchain, deplastifying the planet, alternative meats, and other emerging growth areas in industry, emerging growth areas. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Mary Darby, who is the lead representative and basically representing CKGSB. Mary, I'm handing it over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Iklok. Yes, I'm Mary Darby, and I'm the Chief Representative of CKGSB Americas here in New York. And I'd just like to agree with Iklok that it's truly a pleasure to be here today and to welcome you to this webinar jointly presented by CKGSB Americas and Berkeley. We have collaborated with Berkeley many times, and we always enjoy working together. And I know this will be a very interesting panel. Most of you know Chung Kung Graduate School of Business, but for those that don't, we are the leading and only independent faculty-governed business school in China with a mission to cultivate transformational business leaders. We have campuses in Beijing, Shanghai, and Shenzhen, and learning centers in London, New York, and Hong Kong. We have over 45 world-class faculty, outstanding for their research, teaching, and education expertise, many of whom, the majority of whom, came from tenured positions all throughout the US and in fact in Europe. Chung Kung Graduate School of Business is also proud to be or have been the first business school to have instituted our emphasis on the humanistic approach to business into its curriculum. And we're also known for our social entrepreneurism today. Allow me to just mention a few important facts about our school and our alumni. We have an unparalleled alumni network, and we boast over 12,000 alumni. Many of them are known to you, including Jack Ma of Alibaba, Chenny Dan of Tencent. We're also well known for our role in developing unicorns. In fact, we have developed the greatest number of unicorns of any business school in China. From our Chuang Chuang community, over the past 5 years, we've developed more than 25. 60 of China's top 500 companies are CKGSB run or owned by Chung Kung Graduate School of Business alumni. Collectively, they lead 1/4 of China's most valuable brands. I encourage you to go on our website to find both certificate courses, which we offer, and also degree courses, which are offered out of China. And I'd like to thank you again for participating today, and we look forward to a wonderful panel now. Thank you very much. Ray?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Professor Sidhu and Mary, for introducing the Center in Cheung Kong GSB. Really happy to be here. And we'll just jump right into the panel here. So what's going to happen is that I'm going to moderate about a 35 to 40 minute fireside chat with our panelists, and then we'll be going into a 10 to 15 minute final Q&A. So let me introduce myself, and then I'll have the panelists go around and introduce themselves. My name is Ray Ma. I'm a bilingual and bicultural tech analyst based out of the Bay Area here in San Francisco. I am a Berkeley alum, and I am really excited to be hosting this second panel with the Siddhartha Center and CKGSB. Today's topic, as you all know, is on what we can learn from China's e-commerce and retail market. I am, like I said, focused on China tech for English-speaking audience. And what I do is consult funds and operators through a platform called TechBuzz China. If you're interested in some of the topics that we discussed here today, I also go over them more in depth as part of our free podcast that you can find anywhere called TechBuzz China. Now, if I can have the panelists go ahead and introduce themselves. We have a really amazing panel here today. So maybe we can have Paul go first.
Okay, yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, okay, yeah. My name is Paul Yan. I currently is a vice president at JD.com, and I am the chairman of the JD's technical committee, and also I'm the president of the JD Retail Cloud business. So before I joined, I've been working for JD for more than 7 years, and before that, I worked at Tencent and Google.
All very, very well-known names to this community, I'm sure. So we'll go back to Michael when he fixes his connection issue. Thanks for that introduction.
Hi,
can I have
you
Professor?
See me now?
Oh, no, actually, okay. Michael,
Yeah.
maybe, okay, why don't you go? Why don't you go now before we lose you again? So yeah, if you can introduce yourself, that'd be great.
Sure. Hi, hello everyone. My name is Michael, and I'm actually a Berkeley alum as well, and actually I am an alumni of this technology and innovation center, Siddhartha Center, back then in 2010, I remember. So it's really my pleasure to come back. And I have a great experience studying the classes here. And back then I was doubling major in applied mathematics and operational research management science. And obviously, you know, this curriculum really enables me to, you know, get a lot of experience, understanding into the business world. And I actually, after graduation, I spent 4 years in the investment industry. I started my career in KKR China as a private equity analyst for 2 years. And then I moved into venture capital for another 2 years before starting actually my first startup in 2016, where I co-founded White Closet, which is the largest fashion rental company in Asia. And I spent 4.5 years there and took the company from 0 to 1,000 employees. And we have completed 5 rounds of fundraising from investors like Alibaba, Sequoia, SoftBank, etc. And last June, I started my second company, which is the one I'm working on right now. We are Cider. We are a global fast fashion brand, purely based online, and we sell, directly to the global market via social media and a lot of other e-commerce platforms. So it's my pleasure to come back here, and I'm looking forward to this panel and sharing more with you guys.
Thank you for that. We have really, really relevant experience here from the panelists. Professor Sun, can I have you go next?
Yes. Hi, good evening, everybody. Thank you for organizing this panel. So my name is Bao Hong Sun. I'm an academic. I work from CKGSB's New York office together with Mary and Michelle, we try to tell the China story to the American executives. So basically encourage the knowledge exchange between these two big countries. Before CKGSB, I was a faculty at Carnegie Mellon. And before that, I was actually teaching at Berkeley Haas, teaching marketing. So basically, Haas is, I started my career at Haas. So I basically teach and research in innovation and marketing and e-commerce and retail. So my approach is that CKGSB has a great kind of a global platform. And we have students who are chairman CEOs, who are also investors, who are executor of all those innovation ideas. So I talk to them, I communicate with them, I listen to their stories, and I think about all the issues, all the logic behind it. So being an academic, there's a great advantage because we can zoom out. We can look things across industries and across countries. So I think me and ICLAC, we have the privilege to see many, many stories. So, I really enjoy this perspective and really enjoying working with ICLAC at his center because he has a lot of students that are really making things happen. Looking forward to this panel.
Thank you so much. And finally, we have, last but not least, Joy from My.ai. Joy, please introduce yourself.
Thank you. Yeah, my name is Joy. I'm the founder of MAI. So I spent 17 years in China and 17 years in the US. Right now I'm at the perfect intermediate. Actually, this is my third startup. My first startup, I started with 2 Berkeley alumni. It was very successful and we actually sold the company successfully to a Chinese social media platform. It was a Facebook copycat for Chinese speaking overseas students. So we actually monopolized the whole global Chinese student market in a year and a half and successfully exited. So this is my third startup. Actually, one of our investors is SoftBank's early stage AI fund. So SoftBank founder Masayoshi-san is also a Berkeley alumni. So I feel very honored to be here. And what my company do is we make social commerce happen through AI in a very scalable way. So right now we launched with China's Facebook called Weibo and China's YouTube called iQIYI, making content instantly shoppable.
Thank you. Yeah, it's so great to have this balance of very diverse but very relevant experiences on this panel. So I'll get right to the questions. Before I start, though, I want to give the audience some background, right? So just going to read off of my notes here. From our debriefing, I learned that, most studies place China as at 35%, Chinese e-commerce, at 35% of retail, which is one of the highest in the world. McKinsey actually says it's over $1 trillion in value, and that's greater than the next 9 markets combined. So when we're talking about Chinese e-commerce, this is at a very, very advanced and very, very large market. And while we have seen quite a bit of acceleration here in the US as well due to COVID, China is still, I would still say it's quote unquote ahead. And there are there's lots of factors that contribute to why China has such advanced e-commerce, right? So I would highlight high density in urban areas, tremendous investment into logistics chains, a really complete supply chain. Also add to it the fact that everyone has a mobile payment option on their phone that's very, very cheap, much, much cheaper than here we have in the US. So it's like a really big and bustling market. I want to help the audience break down all the, this huge market down a little bit, right? So I think when we talk about e-commerce innovations, we can actually divide it into innovations at the platform level, innovations at the channel level, as well as innovations at the brand level. And I think we're very, very lucky here today to have representatives kind of roughly from all 3 areas, right? So what do I mean by those? Well, platform levels would be like an Amazon or like a JD, right? A channel level would be like, a store, maybe that sells multiple brands, like Sephora comes to mind. And a brand would be like a Warby Parker or like a cider, right? Michael. So let us talk about innovations at these specific levels when it comes to Chinese e-commerce. And we'll start off with the highest, right? Platform. Dr. Yan, you work at one of the biggest platforms. Can you give us like a really quick overview of JD.com and also what you're seeing that JD as well as other platforms in China are doing in terms of platform innovation?
Okay, hi, thank you, Ray. Yeah, so JD is the biggest retailer in China, online and offline combined. So we just released a quarterly number a couple of days ago. So our revenue last year was $115 billion US. And in terms of GMV, it's like 4 billion GMV. 400 billion GMV. So our revenue is actually bigger than the combination of the second to the fifth place retailers in China. So we're basically like by far the biggest retailer, and actually we're growing very fast. For example, in Q4 2020, we're growing at 31% revenue. Yeah, so that's like and our active annual user buyer, like the active buyers in the last 12 months is like 471 billion. So we're adding about 110 million, 471 million. So we're adding about 110 million in the last 12 months in terms of annual active buyers. So in terms of new users, we're growing very fast, and most of the new users are coming from the lower tier cities, like about 70 to 80% coming from the lower tier city in China. So you can see that the e-commerce in lower tier city in China is growing very rapidly, and also we are actually still growing very, very well. And in terms of innovation, what I'm seeing in China is there's this big trend of combining online and offline retailing together. So basically the retailers in China, the offline retailer, they want to go online, and then the online retailer like JD want to go offline. So for example, from JD's point, we actually empowering about 3 million like offline stores, like in one way or the other, integrating with JD's shopping experience. And in the future, we probably see that people probably won't, you probably cannot like distinguish between an online user and offline e-commerce retailing users anymore in the foreseeable future, because we're gonna all the platform, especially platform like JD, we're trying to integrate the experience so that when the user just plays things online, they could just go to store, pick it up, or it will be sent to their home, or they can go to the store and and buy stuff there, and the inventory or a lot of inventory would actually be integrated so that they don't really feel too much difference between shopping online and offline. And also the experience in terms of the delivery is gonna be really fast. Like JD is the first one in the online world, in the online retailer, that we actually innovated to the same day delivery. So if you place things online in the morning before 11, then we deliver it in the same day. And then if you play things at night, then tomorrow morning you can get the stuff. So basically, about over like 90% of the order placed in JD will deliver it within 24 hours, which is actually quite amazing. And of course, I think some other online retailers are learning from us. Like I think some Amazon right now, they also have fast delivery, like within 24 hours right now. But I think JD is the first one in the world that set the standard. And that really acquire a lot of new users for JD. So that's really a big innovation. So we basically have to do a lot of technical integration, technical innovation in terms of the logistics service as well as our e-commerce service to integrate all the stuff together. But the innovation that I'm seeing right now is more like to making even faster. So platform working on deliver things within 30 minutes to 1 hour to 2 hours, just so to further blurring the difference between online and offline, right? So I mean, JD right now actually has a 30 minutes delivery service for some of the fresh goods, and we're working on really improving the the courage, just like a 1 hour service delivery all over to China. So it's a very it's a really huge challenge. But I think we're actually doing quite well in terms of making progress, and even for like the very bulky items, I think JD also have some good innovation that could really deliver to it. For example, you could order a big case of mineral waters, right? So that's very heavy. Usually when I place the order, I can get it within 24 hours. So I think that's actually quite amazing because the thing is very heavy, so it's not easy to deliver, right? So, but we actually were able to integrate all the supply chains together so that we can offer you this kind of service. So if you're in China, you can just try to place something like a non-food sanquan, some kind of very heavy mineral water, and you can actually get it very quickly. So so I think in the future, I mean, we're working on making it even faster. Yeah, even faster. But you can see that this huge change in China that we try to integrate different online, offline, and right now we're also working on like a community group buying. That's also a new kind of a relatively new trend in China, that basically you could purchase your grocery goods and if you place the order and get it the next day, then the next morning, but you get a very good price and also very fresh product, and you can and this kind of a business model, it can support very low like item like the package price, for example 10 RMB in average in per order, but the efficiency of the more like I said, so support such a low like order price, and we can still like satisfy the user's needs. So I think I think China is doing a lot of innovation in terms of e-commerce, and also we're also doing a lot of category expansions. So initially JD started out with like just electronics, like, but now it's going into like general merchandise and home electronics and consumer electronics, and pretty much all the physical goods you can imagine. We pretty much sell everything, but now we're also doing expansion into healthcare. So we actually our healthcare business actually went IPO last year, and it was like it's actually the stock is running pretty well. So what the business model is like, in addition to selling drugs online, so we can sell drugs online, like prescription drug and non-prescription over-the-counter drugs online, but we also have internet hospitals. So that basically right now, actually, sometimes when myself or my family, get sick, sometimes we just go online and see the doctors. And JD actually has this network of very good doctors in China that could actually see online. And then of course we can, if you need a test, right, then we can send you to the hospital to do the test. And after the test, then you see the test result, then we can still do diagnostic and sending, and then you can order, and then we can just you can just click on one link and all the drug will be, you can buy all the medicines and they send it to your home right away. So so I think this is I think it's actually quite an innovation, because I personally use it a lot, and because my family members and friends, and I'm recommending to them, and it just makes it a lot easier, because sometimes to get the very good doctor, it's very hard to get. Yeah, so yeah. I think it's
yeah. Thank you so much for all that information on JD. It's a very impressive company. I want to ask Professor Sun. I want to stay a pretty high level right now still and ask Professor Sun, because during our debriefing session, you had talked about something that was, I think, very interesting, very indicative of the difference between China and the US. And you said that China is more of a manufacturing country, and so it's less focused on service, and more while the US is a little bit more focused on aspects of the consumer experience. So could you explain that? And also, could you explain how that shows up in the types of innovation we see in Chinese e-commerce?
Yeah, okay, great. You summarized very well. So because in China, we have still lots of products being produced, and we have lots of interesting people. So most of the innovation is that help people to find the products and help the long tail products to find the people. So that is driving lots of innovation here in China. So that makes this innovation from China, a bit different from those from the US. So I'm going to point out a few differences, and then I'm going to raise some examples for those who are interested in those kind of examples. Probably you can dig into more. In China, because of people and products, they use digital technology to help people find each other. So most of the innovations are very customer centric. Okay, so number one, probably everybody experienced that. So all the innovations, startups are trying to create a frictionless kind of effort for e-commerce. Basically, I'm a consumer. I don't have to spend any effort. I can get the products, starting along all the consumer decision journey, because consumer research online and purchase offline. So starting from content, how do I search for it, up to I get the product, what Jingdong is providing, this logistics. Basically, it's frictionless. So if you look at all the ideas, O2O, online to offline, new retail, and smile to pay, and logistics, those are everything follows this frictionless or effortless kind of a commerce, okay, along consumer decision journey. So that gives us innovation ideas, make consumer decision journey as frictionless as possible. The second thing is that make everything, every moment and every channel shoppable. I think Joy mentioned her business, and in China we have a TikTok, we have a Bilibili, and we have music, you have a movie, whenever, even this content, you touch a button and you can buy, no matter what you are doing, where you are, making everything shoppable. The third point, the third difference here is that social. So everybody knows the power of social, but Chinese entrepreneurs push it even one step further, crowdsourcing. So basically, I give up the control of a brand. I let consumers, regular consumers, all on home, try to sell my product, represent my brand. So that is why you can see a lot of startups, they are using this to help them launch the startup. Good example will be Luckin Coffee. No matter what, but at the initial stage, they give one, buy one, give one for free. But that free is not to create advertising exposure. They want you to download the app, okay? How much is it for a consumer to download the app? But for them, it's only the cost of a coffee. So the logic, they're using this crowdsourcing social, using the very well. And group buy, like Paul mentioned, group buy is huge in China now. So in group buy, so your product will be sold by other regular consumers. So you give the power to them. And also there's a Dewu, probably many people do not know it, but it's a kind of a starting from selling kind of sneakers and then expand into many SKUs. Totally use kind of a social influence and content to launch that product. Another thing I want to point out is that Chinese entrepreneurs are very, very innovative at launching D2C brands. So one brand suddenly becomes so well known. One example will be this Yuanqi Senlin. It's actually started by a group of people who write games. Okay, so that kind of idea is so different from traditional, oh, I have a beverage, I have a product, how do I sell it to the consumer? This is a group of like tech people. I write games, but I know the consumers. What they do is that they do lots of experiments online, right? So they design different kind of flavors, different bottles, and let people vote, let people test. And then they figure out what is the best combination before they launch it to the, so totally change the way you launch build a new brand. Another point is that in China, there are also, I really, really like this website, kind of a Hao Dai Fu or similar kind of a website. It helps people find good doctors. So the way they organize information to help people find good doctors, not online, offline, I think that is a very, very innovative. So it's really something worth to study. And last thing I want to point out is that we see a lot of companies, startup, they're burning money to do this and that, to do this and that, but the logic is very clear. Selling product is one thing, but getting data and getting consumers' footprint probably is even more important than selling the product to the consumers. So I will.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
Everyone in China claims they're a data company and not just a e-commerce or whatever company. Now, Joy, well, you work with a lot of these platforms in China for your product. Could you tell us what you see there that's really innovative or interesting and different from the West? Because you started off in the West, but then decided to go to China. So tell us more about that.
Yeah, it's really because China's social commerce ecosystem is, at least, to be honest, 2 to 5 years ahead of US at the moment. Also, it's for like social and economical reason, because socially, in China, there's still a look up and look down culture. So people really care about how they dress, and they really wanted to dress like the influencer, the celebrities. And also like economically, in the US, there's a nice mall in every second tier city, but in China, there's only nice malls in the first tier city. So most people rely on e-commerce. That's why, JD is very popular in China, because, you can shop things easily and get delivered next day. I want to continue what Professor Sun was just saying, that, to creating the frictionless shopping, and that's actually what we do as well. And, in China, like TikTok, live stream shopping has started. To be honest, like live stream shopping started in China 10 years ago. Recent 3 years become really popular, and US is still at the infant stage. So what we see is that most BCG actually has a report, 70% of the Gen Z prefer to shop on content, not like search for products on retailer platform. So even though we have live stream shopping, TikTok allow influencers to tag these exact product, but the consumer experience is very frictionless, but the retailer experience and brands experience is not that great, because they have to, pay the influencer tons of money. They have to ship the product to the influencer, and the influencer will say, okay, I will talk about it, but I can't guarantee the results. So it's almost like you throw the money into the black box. So what we do is that we also help brands and retailers to get paid by performance. Actually, even though we launched with China's Facebook and China's YouTube, but JD is one of our clients as well. So all of the retailers in China, including JD, Alibaba, and VIP, Pinduoduo, they're all of our clients, because they really need more performance advertising on social media. And social media today, most social media today in either US and China, there's still 95% of the budget, the revenue comes from brand advertising. So everyone is learning, how do I do performance advertising to help the brands and retailer to get the buck for their money? So that's kind of what we do. We use AI to instantly recognize products from organic content, not really like content for hard selling. Because hard selling, even though the conversion rate is high, live stream shopping, the conversion extremely high. But if you look at the time people spend on looking at content, only 20% of time and most is spending on looking at hard selling content. And 80% of time people are spending on looking at entertainment, comedy, is organic UGC content. And these content are not being properly monetized, especially for shopping purpose. So that's kind of what we do. We use AI to recognize products and similar products from these organic content. And actually JD pays us 6% of every sale. So that's around like the market rate. So we get paid by sales, and sometimes we get paid by clicks by brands. So far, right now, both Weibo and iQIYI are interested to launch our feature site-wide. And once we launch site-wide, we'll be able to direct around 700 million clicks to the brands and retailers.
Wow, that's a lot of clicks. Michael, well, you're working on a brand, so you already know what I'm going to ask. What are some of the brand innovations that you see in China?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is definitely the golden time for entrepreneurs to build a brand. Because historically, when you want to build a brand, you need to think about, a lot of offline strategy, like building our physical store, brick and mortar approach. And then it's a lot harder to scale up. And you never know where your marketing money is going into. And you never know which hub is working, which hub is not. But right now, I think especially with the rise of social media, it's a lot easier for the entrepreneurs just focus on their products itself, and then to really leverage these very innovative marketing channels. I give you a couple examples. I think some of the speakers have mentioned this before, but obviously the channel shift has been incredible in the past few years. And right now, a lot of the audience, they are spending a lot of their time in social media, especially on short video and live shopping. And these type of new behavior change will give rise to a lot of D2C brands who really use this channel well. For example, a company called Perfect Diary, they are a cosmetic startup which started 4 years ago, and it took them 4 years to build from zero to almost $1 billion sales last year. And right now their market cap is at $10 billion, and they're listed in New York Stock Exchange. And before it wasn't possible at all. There's no way you can actually have your products distributed in these channels, in these stores in such a short period of time. But right now, once you have a great product, just like Perfect Diary and Yuanqi Senlin, then once you have a great product, it's a lot easier for you to work with the influencers, and it's a lot easier to you for the entrepreneurs to scale up. So that's incredibly important. I think a very important reason behind all these channel shifts is the infrastructure itself. For example, WeChat payment has close to 800 million, 900 million users, which is like almost everyone in the city uses WeChat payment. And that really enables a lot of technology, a lot of business models to be able to actually exist. Because like it's a lot easier for people to buy something on short video or on WeChat versus in the US, and if you need to use credit card, then the transaction friction is a lot higher. So I would say in China, since the penetration of social media, the super powerful WeChat platform, and really TikTok in China has like 600 million monthly active users. So the penetrations of all these new social media platforms really enables the entrepreneurs to tap into their target market very easily, and also performance marketing right now becomes a lot more easier as every platform is getting personalized algorithms. So for the brand, before when you open a store, just think about the audience, think about the addressable market of your store. It's actually pretty limited, and you have no idea who actually walked into your store. But right now, with the personalized algorithm, you can actually target people with the same interest, like people with the same demographics, easily, like without even opening any store, having any fixed investment. So I think this is actually a golden era for the entrepreneurs to build out a brand. And then as for our company, we're building our brand, which targets the global market. We are one of the fastest growing brands on Instagram and TikTok. So I think this is also thanks to social media, because we started the company during COVID, and we have a lot of team members abroad, but like none of them have ever met each other because of COVID. We're all working remotely. But right now, social media really enables this kind of startup idea. And we are able to actually grow from zero to right now we have like 500K followers on Instagram, like without going into that market physically. So I think this is just a perfect timing, and for the entrepreneur, you just need to really be curious about the shift of the channel and to watch out for new innovations. And once you have a good idea, once you understand the product well, understand your target customer well, this is a great time.
Yeah, I think actually in the just like last couple of years, there've been so many new brands that's been started D2C, like you were saying, Michael, in China. There's a ton of new food brands. If you look at just the fundraisings, like everyone raised money in the last 6 months or something. It's a really, really crazy market. I know we're actually running a little long, so I do want to give the audience some time to ask questions. Before we do that, I do want to give the panelists here to answer 2 questions. You guys already know I'm going to ask you these 2 questions. So, and maybe you can just answer them together. So again, we'll go maybe in reverse order of how we went before. And the 2 questions are this, right? This is my favorite question to ask people, which is what is one thing that you think people always get wrong about what you're doing, or what, let's call it China e-commerce in general, that you just wish they would get correct? So what is one thing that you want to correct that you keep on hearing and you think it's wrong? And then the second thing is, what is your one piece of advice that you give to universities to induce more collaboration between industry leaders like yourself, as well as like the alumni network? Like what are your suggestions, and what is maybe one thing recommendation you have? So we'll go in reverse order. So Michael, you go first.
Sure. I think one of the biggest mistakes that most entrepreneurs tend to have is to apply the sort of the experience in another country and directly into a new market. I mean, that has been the case for a lot of US company going into China, and I assume definitely that's going to be the case for a lot of people who listen to the panel today and then try to do something elsewhere in the world. Just do not copy. Usually when you copy something, it's not going to work. So just learn as much as you can about that local market, and but try to really figure something out differently in the local market, because each country is different. Like I said, a lot of the infrastructure reason is the main reason why many of these innovations can happen in China, but that doesn't necessarily exist elsewhere. So I would say definitely learn about these experiences, but absolutely to apply into different markets with a localized strategy. So
don't copy blindly. Okay, all right. And what's your recommendation for how to induce more university and industry collaboration?
I would say to have more of talks like this and to really invite more entrepreneurs to talk about their experiences, especially their learnings. I mean, like you don't want to listen just to the successful entrepreneurs sharing the successful experience, and usually, for everyone's success, then there's like hundreds of failures behind it. So I think it's more important to learn about their failures and their lessons,
right,
than their success.
Right, or else you have survivorship bias.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Yeah, I think Joy is next.
Sure. I think one of the biggest mistake even I made myself when I first, went back to China market is that I thought China it's more equal. There's a lot more equal players. But actually, I think if you look at the numbers for social media, it's actually become more and more centralized. So there's a few platforms become more bigger, and then the small players slowly dying out. So I think just like the US, it's very competitive, but it still is a pyramid over there. That's one thing I learned, and so that's why we learned that, do not do a business model that is too big B, but too small b, because too big B, that if they cut you off, then you're down. So you have to have enough medium and small B's supporting you, and then you work with big B next. So that's how we learned.
Really, really practical advice there. And what's your suggestion for, inducing more collaboration, interaction between what can universities do?
Yeah, to be honest, at the moment, because we just raised a decent round end of last year, we're actually looking to hire more talents. I had really good experience. Yeah, that really good experience working with Berkeley alumni.
Same here. Hiring.
So if anyone is interested, please ping me. We're looking for talents in retail and advertising.
So more like chances to recruit people. That'd be great.
Yeah, I'd love to have more, hiring and that kind of event with Berkeley.
Great, great, great. All right. And I think, again, going in reverse order, Professor Sun.
Okay, so yeah, I think I just observed something. Number one, I think China, US are very different. Whatever is successful over there may not apply here. Like China is like China products finding people. US, the innovation here is more fundamental technology driven and business model driven. I really enjoy researching those kind of a deep, kind of a vertical kind of innovation. And that's number one. So do whatever you're good at and be successful. The second thing is that I saw lots of startups like a struggle, like how to really launch its business idea, especially you're doing 2C. Then a lot of ideas on how to engage social and crowd sourcing from China, and you can learn. But I really want to see as a kind of observer more on the B side kind of innovation. I think Joy mentioned that in China, the platform are good to see, but to B, so they have to struggle a little bit, right? But here I have to build a because of a two-sided platform, you have to make it wrong, you have to be good to both. So for startups, if you're serving B, and you really need to understand their needs, because all the traditional brands, they need to do digital transformation. Okay, so you have to provide the right solution, touch the right pain point. Another thing I want to point out is that in China, unlike the US, like Alibaba, Jingdong, and also Tencent, they already built a great ecosystem, all the tools to integrate all the online, offline, the tools are built over there, but I don't see it here in the US. That's something maybe somebody can do it here. One thing I want to point out, like about university industry collaboration, because I was in close connection with Wharton. So I observed the period when Warby Parker, all the Bunabu were up. Those are all done by students, right? Like diapers.com. So those are all MBA students, very young, in their 20s. And then they try to find the products from China. Okay, so that was how they become successful. There's a cross-border connection. And then recently, I see the opposite trend. You probably heard about Shein, S-H-E-I-N, very successful. We don't hear it because they target like Latin America, African American here, but super popular. And there, from the day they design until they deliver products, it's 7 days. 7 days, and the Zara is like 14, sometimes even more than that, right? So sometimes they don't have even any order. They just put the product online and people start to make orders, and then they can make the production for as low as 50 orders, and then they produce it. So all those things, you can see that now it's the reverse order of the e-commerce. So probably that's going to create a lot of collaboration opportunities in the future. Yeah, but one thing I really want to observe is that fundamental technology like a blockchain, like a smart contract, AI, how that is going to fundamentally change e-commerce, advertising, engaging consumers. Which country is going to win along this race track?
Yeah, it remains to be seen. Paul, are you back? Because I had seen a message saying that you had left, but you are. Are you back?
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes. Okay, great. Okay. Sorry, I'm so sorry for some of you. For Paul, you're calling from Beijing as well, right? So there's a bit of a connection issue, I think. Yeah. So I don't know if you heard my question, but it's basically about what's one thing that you wish people knew that, people often get wrong about your industry, company, product, whatnot, and then also what you suggest for future academia and industry collaboration.
Okay. Yes, so I think one thing I like to raise is one point I like to raise is about China's consumer. Like if you want to do business, I think the consumers in China is very, very picky. So even though I think in the US and in some other place in the world, people think that China is growing very fast and you think it's easy, but it's actually the competition is very fierce because the competition is extremely picky about the kind of service they can get because there's so many competition and also there's a lot of capitals in China. So there's a lot of investments in innovation. So the competition is extremely fierce because before I work at Google, and I think the US market is a lot less competitive and in terms of the business and in China, I mean, we always feel that we always feel the sense of a huge crisis, like, some other people might come in and have a new innovation And coming back to, for example, if you see the e-commerce area, right? Like you can see that there's new players that's coming in the last few years and they're growing very fast. So there's so much innovations. And so if you want to do things in China, do business in China, you really have to focus on your consumers and try to get the user experience and try to exceed the expectation. So the key thing to win in China is really to exceed people's expectation about your service. Like for example, JD initially just really exceeding people expectation in terms of the delivery, the product, the fast delivery product, and also the authenticity of the product that they sell in China. So they kind of build the brands that way. And I think right now a lot of innovations are also trying to exceed people's expectation to win. And then so then for your second question, I think the answer is really you have to focus it to focus on the user, get your user to be happy, and then try to build around the experience to provide a sustainable business model, right? For example, I was talking about if you can order like a case of mineral waters online, it's very heavy, but you want to do this business, so you need to make it economically efficient for you to be able to sustain this kind of service, right? And like the community group by innovation that's happening in China, that the package price is only 10 RMB per order. So how do you make it so they can deliver this kind of grocery food, 10 RMB in order? So how much, like you might only make a few, only 1 cent per order, or maybe less than that, right? So then how can you make it, so that the economy of scale and the business model can sustain your growth, and in the meantime also satisfy the needs of the user, like providing them cheap products but good quality products. Yeah, so that's just kind of that's really because I worked at US before and now in China. It's just a sharp comparison. Yeah.
Thank you. I think actually we're at the end of the hour. Now, I know it really just happened really fast because so much good content was being shared. I see Joy and Michael putting into the group chat that they're both hiring. I'm sure Paul is hiring as well. So there's lots of opportunities if you want to participate in the Chinese e-commerce innovation. I think unfortunately, we're out of time. I know we actually promised some Q&A, but I think we are pretty much out of time. So I will hand it back off to Jennifer to end the session. Or I don't know.
Thanks, Ray.
Okay.
All right.
Sorry to put you on the spot, but
I know that's okay. That's okay.
I should be doing here.
This was a fantastic discussion, and I'm so pleased with all of the panelists. We had such a great cross section from CKGSB and UC Berkeley. And it's great to see our alums on both sides of the fence doing so well. So with that, we want to thank you. We hope to stay connected. Thank you to all of the attendees. This is a recorded session. It'll be on our website as well. And hopefully you get some new interns and employees, everyone.
Yeah, I hope some people found employment and some people found more employees. Yeah, thank you everyone so much for your sharing. I learned a lot today and I look forward to more discussions in the future. Thank you, Sutardja Center, as well as CKGSB and the staff members who put this together.
All right, bye everyone.
And thank you to all the attendees.
Bye,
everyone.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.